To remain updated with the latest business news, click on the bell icon.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today. I am Sakshi Batra. Well, the LIC DRHP has been filed, something that we've been long waiting for. And the stock markets are now looking at the last lap and the last leg of the LIC IPO. We may soon see it, hit the street as early as in March. There is a lot of anticipation by investors. We are already seeing more and more demat accounts open in anticipation of this IPO as well. But what kind of opportunities really exist for the retail investors right ahead of the LIC IPO, and should it be a part of your core portfolio or not, is something that we are going to be discussing in this show. I have with me a very special guest joining in. I have Mr. Kranthi Bathini. He's the Director Equity Strategy at WealthMills Securities. Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure having you with us on Business Today. Help me with your first thoughts on DRHP that you must have seen, a 650 long page DRHP, but any key takeaways that you may have?
The key takeaways, actually, first thing is LIC have filed the much awaited red herring prospectus with SEBI. Itself is a big key takeaway for the investors. And coming, everybody waiting, both domestic as well as global, especially the global investors want to have a monolithic kind of organization for like LIC to be in Indian equities, sharing the wealth of India to the retail investors as well as for the overseas investors. And what offers for the retail investors, definitely it gives a good opportunity for the investors to really participate the financial story of India, and the LIC having its prominence with respect to the life insurance, as well as one thing we need to forward looking is in LIC is they're the India's largest institutional investors. So the kind of gains the capital market is offering, everything LIC will be factoring in. We need to, I am also personally much excited to see such a IPO for Indian markets, and the overseas investors we interact regularly. They also want to see such a large cap IPO coming for Indian markets. I can say simply to describe LIC is like for Saudi, how Aramco is important for India. LIC is such a stage and size for Indian equity markets.
Absolutely, you're right. The excitement is high because on the one hand, we will see this, marquee company in the insurance space of India. It has been a big brand in the insurance space from the last 65, 70 odd years. So it has a long history. Most of the Indians who are insured do have an LIC policy as well. Maximum people right there, they have around 29 crore policy holders as well. So that's a huge number. And for policyholders also, they are looking at this opportunity to now also get, some stock market investment opportunity via LIC, other than getting insured by it as well. But I wanted to understand from you, how does LIC really compare with the existing insurance companies that are listed? We are seeing some comparisons globally as well because of the mammoth size of LIC. How should one really understand what LIC, is in terms of the mammoth and the size of LIC?
One thing, what you mentioned is they have 65% of market share in life insurance industry is concerned. Still, Sakshi, India is a very uninsured country, underinsured country when we compare with the global peers. What LIC have done is how the retail and the rural, how they transformed the Indian savings into financialization. LIC played a crucial role with their network of 13 lakhs agents. But there is enough opportunity still exists for LIC in terms of the life insurance business is concerned. And when I have to compare with the domestic listed space, LIC IPO is going to be at par with their pricing valuations. But LIC is a different domain. They are in a different zone when I have to say their market cap and their revenues are concerned, because the other private players, what we have, they have a experience of in India. It started in past 20 years or 15 years, but whereas LIC have a different zone currently, different orbit LIC is currently going in. So what we can see is there is a greater opportunity available for the retail investors and also the global investors to participate in India's growth story. Truly, right. Whatever the macro story we discuss about India, that reflects in LIC story.
Absolutely. Another thing that I wanted to ask you is in the last year, we have seen LIC, looking at a market share also reduction in some aspects as well. It is losing some market share to the private insurers as well. Does that, worry you at this point in time? How will LIC be able to assure investors that it will stay ahead of the curve despite the challenges?
Sakshi, yeah, LIC was the monopoly. Now it's no longer. Of course, their market share is currently at 65%. I'm sure with the grand and the strong agent network they have, they could be able to sustain their market share. What LIC need to focus is renovate themselves in terms of the policy offerings, new offerings with respect to their product line is concerned. That's where LIC has been lagging with respect to the private insurance players are concerned. But the LIC is going to have its prominence with respect to life insurance is concerned in India, despite of the private players that are coming in. But still, LIC have its edge in the life insurance industry is concerned in India.
Okay, understood that. In terms of financials, how have you been able to assess LIC from whatever earnings have been given in DRHP, the details right there? How should one really read into the fine print?
Sakshi, in terms of the embedded value, is LIC is fairly valued. But for a life insurance company, it have a different dynamics. Because of the history of LIC is concerned, currently they have a earnings EPS of around 4.7 paisa to 5 rupees. So if I have to compare with the existing private players who are listed in, LIC is fairly valued at this juncture. We need to wait and watch how the IPO price is going to be fixed by the merchant bankers that get announced shortly. But LIC is a portfolio, one should portfolio stock. Every investor should own in their portfolio. It gives much stability to the portfolio and also participating in India's domestic growth story. That's what LIC is going to offer for the investors.
Right. Now, you do say that it is definitely a core portfolio stock. I want to understand from you, LIC, is a PSU major. Considering the kind of performance we have seen of PSU companies in the past, will being a PSU really weigh on LIC and its performance going forward from here? We have seen even the likes of the erstwhile biggest IPOs like Coal India. They have definitely provided dividend growth to investors, but on a stock performance basis, it has still lagged behind. Does LIC stand at any risk to that?
Yes, Sakshi, one of the key concern, of course, LIC being a household brand in India in terms of the financial industry is concerned. One of the key concern that expressed everyone is it's a PSU. But LIC management is a much more dynamic management in terms of the financial industry is concerned. So I don't think so that's going to be a hiccup for the investors in terms of the PSU tag is concerned. So it is a much dynamic management with a strong board and it's a much tracked company in terms of their earnings and the kind of dividend check they offer to the government every year. So the performance should going to be dynamic and the performance is going to be robust for Life Insurance Corporation India is concerned.
Okay. And I also wanted to ask you if you could highlight some of the strengths and some of the risks that investors looking to an LIC IPO as a potential investment opportunity should be aware of.
One thing is, Sakshi, while coming to the strengths are concerned, it is the largest domestic institutional investor in capital markets. And they are the largest in terms of the life insurance is concerned and the key player in terms of the financialization of assets is concerned. And when I have to compare the market cap of LIC, once post-listing, I'm sure LIC is going to be top one or top two largest market cap player in the world. And they have the highest margin, that is around 82% in 2020, that is which is highest in the world when I have to compare with the global players like Allianz and the other Chinese player and the Hong Kong players, if I have to compare. And coming to the risk, one of the factor investors need to aware is what LIC market share with respect to the private players in India is concerned, that is getting stagnated over a period of time. This is going to be the key concern for the investors, and how they could be able to increase the employee productivity. That's the key concern for Life Insurance Corporation of India. If I have to analyze the per employee productivity when compared with vis-a-vis with the private players, LIC productivity is on a much lower rate when I have to compare with the private players. Once the productivity issue as well as the market cap, these are the key concerns we are looking forward. Once LIC start the stock get listed on stock exchanges, and they're bound to share their performance on a quarterly basis. So these are the key areas we are going to track going ahead post listing of the LIC stock is concerned.
Understood. That's the one last question. You did say that it's a portfolio stock. One should definitely have that in their portfolio. Help me understand, for short-term traders also, is there going to be any opportunity, or are you only advising for long-term investors to be there?
Sakshi, given the kind of market environment, what we are witnessing is, it's not going to be a short-term kind of stock. It's going to be definitely a portfolio kind of stocks, and investors need to look for medium to longer term LIC in their portfolio, rather than just using the stock as a trading stock in the medium to short term.
Okay, so there's a go ahead from Mr. Bathini right there, in case you've been mulling and confused about whether you should go for LIC IPO. It is a portfolio stock, and he does believe that the long-term performance will definitely be worthy for all the investors to look in terms of returns as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Bathini. Great to have you with us on Business Today and seek all the insights on LIC. Now, once the IPO definitely hits the street, we are going to get you back on Business Today.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.